Start with breaking news out of Fort Stewart. 5 soldiers are recovering after a gunman opened fire on the Army base. And just moments ago, we learned that 3 needed surgery, but all are expected to be okay.
Tonight, that suspected shooter is in custody and being interviewed after what authorities describe as a workplace shooting. That shooting happening shortly before 11 this morning at Fort Stewart Hunter Army Airfield. That's about an hour west of Savannah.
Tonight, we are getting a clearer picture of how the Fort Stewart shooting unfolded. 11 Live's Cody Alcorn joining us more with the timeline. A lot of new information coming in just the last 30 minutes.
And we just heard that news conference, and really that was a good update if there could be good news here. So let's walk you through what we know so far as what unfolded this morning. Shortly before 11 a.m., law enforcement notified of a shooting on the base. 8 minutes later, the base put on lockdown along with local schools just a few days back into session. We've just learned fellow soldiers tackled the sergeant seconds after those first shots rang out. 5 soldiers were shot, and those soldiers were treated and transferred to a local hospital. The shooter was captured by 11:30 this morning, and shortly after noon, that lockdown was lifted. In a news conference held just moments ago, we brought it to you live. We learned those soldiers, at least a couple of them, were flown to Savannah and underwent surgery. All 5 soldiers are expected to survive. That is great news this afternoon. The shooter has been identified as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, who has ties to Florida. We're still working to learn more about this man. It was confirmed he used a handgun that belonged to him, which raises some serious security concerns on how he got the gun to his work this morning on that base. A motive has still not been publicly released.
The prayers of those who live in this district goes out to the family and the families that are involved. And certainly we're very disturbed by this. The 2nd Armored Brigade is one of the leading fighting brigades in the Army, and they train. But it's very obvious that the Army was very prepared for the situation this morning by their quick action.
Of course, reaction coming from all over the state and country as news of this active shooting went out across the nation. Fort Stewart is home to the Army's 3rd Infantry Division. This is a very large and extensive base. We're talking 10,000+ people on this base. Families, staff, the soldiers, and it's a very complex base just outside of Savannah. And again, despite these initial reports we heard coming from Fort Stewart, this really is the best outcome when you hear an active shooter on a U.S. Army base. Of course, now the investigation will be laser focused on the security on this base, how the sergeant got this gun to that workplace, and of course, the big question here, why did he do it and what triggered him? But I will tell you, Cheryl, kudos to those soldiers who jumped into action and stopped more casualties there on that base this morning.
No doubt. The Brigadier General said there would be more casualties if it weren't for their fast action. Cody, thanks a lot.